For those of you who are still on the fence on whether to take the next step and upgrade your photographic equipment beyond your mobile phone, this video aims to help you make that decision. I'll show you the most common types of digital cameras, and you only need to consider 5 as a beginner, and I'll briefly explain the features in order that you can make an informed decision. The 5 types are: first, the DSLR, or Digital Single Lens Reflex Camera. Second, the MILC, Mirrorless Interchangeable Lens Camera, or simply mirrorless. Third, the compact camera, which comprises of several subtypes such as point-and-shoot fixed lens, pocket zoom, bridge, and other variations. Fourth, the action camera, sometimes called sports camera. And fifth, the ubiquitous mobile phone camera, which for now comprises of single lens and dual lens types. Now let's start with the DSLR. A physical feature that stands out is a hump on the center top of the body which contains a prism. The image coming from the lens is transmitted by a mirror and then to the prism, then to the optical viewfinder, where you see the image to be taken. What you see is exactly what the lens sees. When we remove the lens, you see a mirror installed in front set at a 45 degrees angle. As you press the shutter button, the mirror flips up to reveal the sensor for exposure. Before the advent of digital, this sensor would have been a film instead. Now let's take a shot. Here I'm attempting to show you what the eye-level optical viewfinder sees. You can see a partial image here. It also shows a bunch of exposure information. As I press the shutter button now, notice that the viewfinder momentarily darkens as I take the picture. This is because the mirror flips up, obstructing the viewfinder. The LED display is mainly to show the captured image. The LED display doubles as a viewfinder for many current DSLRs, although the main viewfinder is still the eye-level optical viewfinder. Let's review how a DSLR captures an image. Look at the inset illustration as well. While viewing, the image is reflected by the mirror onto the prism and then to the optical viewfinder, where you see an accurate depiction of the image. As you press the shutter button to take a picture, the mirror swings up and simultaneously the shutter curtain opens to expose the sensor to the image. And in a split second, according to the exposure time, the shutter curtain closes and the mirror returns to its original viewing position. By the way, ever wonder why it's called a single lens reflex? This is to differentiate it from a type of camera called twin lens reflex, which looks like this. There are 2 lenses, hence the term twin. The upper lens is solely used for viewing and focusing, and the bottom lens is used to take the picture. Both lenses are of the same focal length for obvious reasons. Another unique feature is that the viewing screen is on top. Similar to the DSLR, there is a mirror behind the viewing lens to reflect the image to the viewing screen, but the mirror is fixed. The mechanical sequence is simple. You view the image reflected by the mirror through the upper lens, then as you press the shutter button, the shutter curtain of the bottom lens opens to expose the film to the image. The mirror does not move. Needless to say, the image taken is not exactly the same as the image you view through the upper lens, although they are nearly the same. Now let's come to the MILC, or mirrorless. The similarity to the DSLR is that the lens is interchangeable. However, there is no mirror, as the name implies, and the sensor is immediately exposed when the lens is removed. Mechanically, it is simpler and therefore less expensive to manufacture. There is no optical viewfinder. The LED display serves as both a viewfinder and as display for the captured image. To view, The image goes directly to the sensor and electronically converted to real-time images on the LED display. Some mirrorless has in addition an eye-level viewfinder or EVF, also LED, not optical. Let's run through the sequence. While viewing, the shutter remains open and the sensor is exposed to the image all the time. As you press the shutter button, the shutter closes momentarily, then opens for the duration of the image capture, then closes again to complete the capture. The shutter then opens for viewing. All of these happening in a split second. Note that the shutter may be mechanical or electronic. An electronic shutter is controlled by software which turns the sensor on and off. An obvious advantage of the mirrorless is that they tend to be physically smaller and lighter than the DSLR, since the body doesn't have to accommodate a mirror mechanism and the prism. Because of this, the lenses are smaller because the lens design does not need to compensate for the additional distance caused by the mirror. Just to give you an idea, here is a side-by-side comparison of several lenses of equivalent focal lengths. The left lens belonging to the DSLR and the right belonging to the mirrorless. Keep in mind, however, that there are other factors affecting lens sizes, such as the size of the sensor and the aperture. We now come to the compact camera. There are several subtypes. The most typical is the full-featured pocket zoom cameras like this. First thing you'd notice is how small it is in comparison. The LED display at the back serves as both a viewfinder and captured image display, similar to the mirrorless. The small size stems from the fact that the sensors are generally much smaller and the lens is not interchangeable. The lens typically zooms from medium wide angle to 5 times or even 12 times telephoto and are either zoomed manually or electronically. A full-featured, fully automatic pocket zoom like this typically also features Wi-Fi connectivity. Its exposure feature is typically set to full auto, more so than you'd do in a DSLR or mirrorless. The LED display is fully articulated, meaning you can rotate the display almost on all 3 axes. This one, shown here, even has a built-in stand for taking selfies. The zoom is controlled electronically by a rocker dial. Another subtype is the bridge camera, so called as it bridges between a pocket zoom and a DSLR or mirrorless. It is larger than a pocket zoom because it uses a larger sensor and is more akin to a mirrorless except for the ability to change lenses. And then there's the action camera. It is even smaller than the compact camera. Since it is mostly used for capturing action videos by the very person taking it while at the same time performing a physical activity, its size and weight is by necessity small and light. The focal length of the lens is fixed and the field of view is super wide angle, typically angles greater than 120 degrees with some models going up to 170 degrees field of view. The zoom feature is of course digital, much like mobile phones. It has to have an image stabilization feature since it's assumed that the person taking the image is always on the move. Unique to action cameras are the myriad of accessories and attachments to keep your hands free. Here is a waterproof housing to protect it from moisture, rain, and bodies of water. Here is a general purpose attachment accessory. Here is an attachment for bicycle handlebars. This one is to attach the camera to the back of your hand. This is a floater so that when you use the camera while playing in the swimming pool, you know the camera won't sink. And Here's an attachment to the car windshield, and there are many more. Lastly, there's the mobile phone camera. Typically, it is single lens of medium-wide field of view with a flash. There are also dual lens, the second lens with a medium telephoto field of view. With dual lenses, the phone camera can simulate photos akin to those of DSLRs and mirrorless. So there you go, the 5 camera types you need to know: the DSLR, the mirrorless, the compact camera, the action camera, and the mobile phone camera. You may ask, what's my recommendation? If you think you want to take photography more seriously than what the mobile phone can give you, but you are just serious enough for heavy photography only on occasions like vacations and special events, then I'd recommend the mirrorless. It has the same full feature and set of controls like the DSLR, and yet lighter and less bulky to carry around on your 2-week vacation trips. Unlike the compact camera, you have the same flexibility of changing lenses as a DSLR. You can make it pocketable with small lenses, and if you need long telephotos, their lenses won't break your back carrying them, unlike those for DSLRs. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. In future videos, I'll be showing some tips for beginners in photography.